Hi, this is Marilyn Lohman, Service Hydrologist at WFO Pendleton. I'll be reviewing the mountain snowpack and water supply forecast across the Pendleton forecast area as of March 2013. This map, produced by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, shows the percent of normal snow water equivalent, or the amount of water being held in the snowpack, for the various basins across the state of Washington. February was much drier than normal across the region, with only a couple of strong storms during the month. This is reflected in the average basin snowpack. The lower Snake Basin remained nearly steady, with snow water equivalents near 85% of normal. In the Cascades, the snow water equivalent remained nearly steady as well, with amounts from 95 to 105% of normal. In the next few slides, we'll take a look at a few locations within the basins and see how that snowpack has changed. These charts show the snow water equivalent for the water year, October through September. The blue line is the maximum observed, while the red line is the minimum. The green line is the average. Using these charts, we can see how the snow water equivalent accumulates throughout the winter and spring and compare it to average. This site, the Touchet Snotel site, is in the Walla Basin, around 5,500 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that there was little in the way of snow during the first part of the month, with an increase during the last week of the month. Overall, the snow water equivalent remains below normal. The Sasse Ridge Snotel site is located in the upper Yakima Basin at about 4,200 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see the strong increases that came at the end of the month, with the overall snow water equivalent remaining below normal. The Bumping Ridge Snotel site is at elevation 4,600 feet in the central Washington Cascades and is at about midpoint in elevation across the lower Yakima Basin. This area also saw little accumulation during the first part of the month, but with an increase at the end of the month, the snow water equivalent is near normal. Across the Oregon portion of the Pendleton forecast area, a storm at the end of the month bumped up the snowpack in the Northeast Mountains, with an increase from 70% of normal to near 85% of normal for the Grande, Powder, Burnt, and Imnaha basins. There was some decrease in the upper Deschutes and Crooked basins, with the amounts right around 95% of normal, while the Grande and Umatilla basins remain nearly steady and have amounts from 90 to 100% of normal. We'll take a look at some individual sites within the basins in the next several slides. In the lower Deschutes, Columbia Basin area, Clear Lake Snotel is at an elevation of 3,500 feet. Looking at the black line, the current year observation, this site saw little in the way of accumulation until late in the month and continues to be below normal. In the upper Deschutes Basin, Three Creek Meadows Snotel site is at about 5,600 feet. We can look at the solid black line and note that the site saw little accumulation during February, with snow water equivalent well below normal. For the Grande Basin, we can look at the Blue Mountain Springs Snotel site at 5,900 feet. This location shows little increase until the last few days of the month and continues to be well below normal. For the Umatilla Basin in the Blue Mountains, we can look at the High Ridge site at 4,900 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that there was a little accumulation at the beginning of the month, but then a large increase at the end of the month. But the site still remains slightly below normal. In the Ronde Basin, the Moss Springs Snotel site at 5,800 feet shows a small increase during the first part of the month, and then a large increase during the last part. Overall, the snow water equivalent is slightly below normal. The Northwest River Forecast Center uses Ensemble Streamflow Prediction, or ESP generated forecasts, as the official water supply method. This year, new 30-year runoff normals covering the years 1981 to 2010 are being used. For all of the published locations, the updated normals are less than the 1971 to 2000 dataset. This is due to the relatively dry runoff period from 2001 to 2010. New ESP forecasts will be published on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at a minimum of once per week, but may be updated daily as the discretion of the Northwest River Forecast Center. For updated forecasts and more information, please see the River Forecast Center's website at the address given. For the Yakima River system, we'll look at the Yakima River near Parker. Looking at the plot, the solid green line is the 30-year normal. The box plots show the entire range of forecast values, with the blue dot the 50th percentile, or most likely value. We'll be using the 50th percentile and comparing it to normal. The volume forecast for the Yakima River near Parker has decreased to around 112% of normal, down slightly from the forecast at the beginning of February. The forecasted volume of water, or the blue dot, for the Grande River near Troy is expected to be about 90% of average. The model used to produce these figures uses the current 10 days of forecasted precipitation and assumes normal precipitation throughout the rest of the forecast period. For the Umatilla River at Pendleton for the period April through September, the forecasted volume has trended down from 75% of normal at the beginning of February to around 61% of normal. This lower value corresponds to the below normal snowpack seen in the previous slides. The Columbia River at the Dalles can be an indicator for the entire Columbia Basin. Once again, we see the average plotted in green, with the most likely value, the blue dot. The volume through the April through September period has remained nearly steady at 93% of normal. The previous seen plots and additional water supply locations are available in an interactive form on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at the address listed in the concluding slide. The 3-month outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for March, April, and May shows an increased chance of below normal temperatures and a slightly increased chance of below normal precipitation, mainly over Oregon. The below normal temperatures could prove beneficial in preserving the current snowpack as we move into the snowmelt period. Once again, additional water supply forecasts and interactive forecasts can be found at the Northwest River Forecast Center's webpage at the address listed. If you have any questions, please contact me by email or by the phone number listed here. Join me again in April as we continue to look at the snowpack and water supply conditions.